I'm Scott L. Miller. It's the 21st of September 2022, and this is my vlog of daily life in Leon, Nicaragua. Today is Wednesday, and we started off the day with a little bit of excitement. Paul came running in to get me and said the house is flooding, and that is how our day started. And this is after I got very little sleep last night because, as I said in yesterday's video, first we're going to show this cute little cat who was just hanging out here at the store waiting for me to come say, hello, hello little kitty in Leon. So, all night, Clive was awake and not feeling well because he had aspirated some yucca and he was throwing up all through the night. He was choking this morning. He did sleep part of the night, but only part of the night. So we had a very rough night with him and we're worried about him this morning. That is the start of our day. But I got woken up after not getting very much sleep because of Clive with the house is flooding. Now this is very apropos because just on the day that I'm recording this video, which I'm actually recording on Friday, but today's Wednesday, I actually got asked in the comments, what do colonial houses do? I'm going to try to pop it up here. That's why I'm doing that. I'll probably forget, and so I'm just going to be pointing at things, but in theory, there's going to be a little comment up there. And I was asked how do colonial houses deal with all of the rain? Because obviously all the rain goes into the middle of these colonial houses. And the answer is, well, they should have drains in that central area. All the roofs go into either a swimming pool, which will have a natural drain system, or gardens, which have a lot of earth, so they can absorb a lot of rain. Or what most houses do is have tile or something in that area, and then they have actual drains. And anytime you clean it, you're taking hoses or water tanks are out there, so it's meant to take a lot of water. All that stuff goes into big drains, and they go straight down to these big pipes. They go straight out to the road. Or in some cases, like on walls like this, you could have them along the walls, but normally they're down here along the bottom, and the water comes down and just pours into the street. And in fact, I'm saying this at the perfect time because I'm going to turn around as soon as these people go by, and this right here is one of them. So this is a colonial house actually for sale here on the corner. I've been meaning to mention this one. It's been sale for a little bit. They have signs everywhere. This must be their garage right here. That is a window that is boarded up, says for sale, but their courtyard comes out right here and comes out onto the street. I'm just gonna walk around this house so you can see it since it is for sale here in La Barrio. It's in a beautiful part of the neighborhood. I really like this spot, and I know another house for sale just across the street as well. And that one, I actually know the people selling it. Ooh, that was really close to that dog. Why, dog, why are you in the middle of the road? Okay, and this is the front of this really nice house in this really nice area. So that kind of thing is that big pipe, and what that is that comes straight from a drain, comes straight out to the road. Our house is the same. So we got up this morning and we discovered we have a little bit of a problem. It's been raining all night and we're supposed to be able to drain as the rain comes in here in the courtyard, but something is wrong and we have a little bit of water backing up. That's many inches deep right there. The high spot, I think it's actually receding a little bit. That was all underwater. The rain is starting to slow, but it's up over the sidewalk area. It is now right about to go into the living room and the bedrooms. That's the main drain. We have tried, we can't tell what's in it. So we're in pretty rough shape right here. We were about 1 inch away from going over into the living room. But the kids have been saying they wanted a house with a pool, and they haven't gotten up to come enjoy the one we have. So I don't know what's up with them. So when it rains, all that water just floods into the street, which contributes, yes, to the incredible flooding in the streets. So that is part of the ongoing problem of Leon flooding. There was also the question, do the streets in Leon flood? And the answer is, oh yeah, they do. In fact, it's not even raining, and look how much water is flowing down the street beside me. Imagine what it's like when it's actually raining, because it's not even sprinkling right now. There's nothing. And the whole road is flowing water on both sides. So yeah, when it rains, all the houses, we have another kitty, meow meow. All of the houses have tons of water in them, and all of them just flood into the streets, and the streets just fill with water, and then they go downhill that way to the river, and the river then gets really high, but it can pretty much take all the water. It's a very deep ravine. It can hold a lot of water. Now it may hit the bridges, but it's going to make it through. So What we found this morning, though, we're pretty sure a garbage bag got swept away, because one of the problems for us, for example, in a lot of places you have trees, so leaves are falling down into the drains quite often. You get a lot of dirt and sand because, I mean, there's just going to be, right? And we live near the beach, so there's always sand coming in. The dogs go out and play in the streets, and when they come in, they drop sand. Over time, sand and grit accumulates in the house, and because it gets swept or washed or mopped or whatever, it eventually makes it into the drain in most cases, and if there isn't enough pressure, it's going to stay somewhere in that pipe and slow down the water. If you get leaves in there, it can slow down even more, but it's a big pipe that typically gets swept away. But in a house like ours, it is often getting full of things like limes. So tons of limes are flowing down there, and most of the time they make it through too. But that's a lot of opportunity for things to get stuck. Anything that's in the house, because of the amount of water that comes through the entire courtyard, anything you set out there might get swept away. And today, even our giant garbage can, like a 96-gallon garbage can, got swept away in the flood. That's how much water there was. We're pretty sure that what happened is that a small garbage bag, like maybe the bag they used to empty the cat litter, was somewhere in the courtyard, got hit by the torrent, swept into the drain, and caught somewhere way down partway through. That's our guess. I put my arm in there. The water was deep. By the time Paul got me, the courtyard was full, and the water was up to the lip of the bedrooms and the living room. There's a lot of water. We had to wade in, and I got down and actually tried to put my arm in. I was putting like broom handles in, and I'm like, I can feel stuff in there. Put my arm in, but I wasn't able to get anything out, and I really didn't want to put my arm in there because, oh my gosh. First of all, it's a long, dark pipe, and second of all, it's underwater. Like, I was under quite a bit of water trying to get, it was not pleasant. So that is a real problem. Now, if it really did overflow, the first thing it's gonna do is go into the living room. We can get brooms and try to push it out the front, because if the living room floods, it will go out the front onto the street. We are higher than the street. So that should, in theory, protect us to some degree, but it's not a great solution. And so we ended up being okay. The rain subsided right as it was starting to come into the living room. So the slight slant of the tile protected us and worked out, but it's a real problem. We got to get this solved. Otherwise, our entire living space is going to end up dramatically underwater sometime really soon, because that was not that heavy of a rain this morning. As I'm recording this on Friday, the same thing happened again on Friday. So it's definitely a problem. But that subsided. Things are okay. We cleaned the drip. We did everything we could, and we let people know that we need to have it snaked out, because it's got to be cleaned. That is how it is handled. Then our next thing up today is Clive needs to go to the vet. He continued to have choking problems this morning, so we got him into the vet, got him an X-ray, and did all of that stuff, because the doctor's like, I can look, but there's something definitely in there, and we don't know how to clear the obstruction. We really need an X-ray to be confident that we get the right thing and do it right. So we got an X-ray, we did a surgery, and it was, we kept being, everyone was thinking it must be a chicken bone, and the original thing I said is correct. It was yucca, mashed or really soft boiled yucca that he ate so fast he aspirated, and so it was stuck in his trachea, and he was just unable to get this basically mashed potatoes, for all intents and purposes, out. And so they took that out, cleared it out, but he had a lot of, scratches and stuff from a whole night of throwing up and coughing and trying to get it out. So that we need to get his irritation levels down. And because he had lots of medication for the surgical procedure, I don't know if surgery is the right word, but he had a procedure at least, and they mostly knocked him out, and they had to get him high for a while so he wouldn't be in pain, and to get him to stop coughing. So because of all the medicines, and because he's really cute and adorable, the doctor and his family decided that they needed to keep him overnight, and so he is staying there. But this is Dr. Jorge, who, one, works for us, and two, we've known for a long time, and he's taking care of all of our animals. So he and his family are keeping him, and he will sleep with him tonight, so don't worry that Clive will go a night without getting his snuggles. He certainly will. And he knows everybody, so he's very comfortable there. He's not really all that upset. Far more upset is Mia, who doesn't know what's wrong, only knows that her puppy is missing, and she kind of sees him as her puppy. She's kind of a mama dog to him, and they are definitely best friends, and without him, she just doesn't know what to do with herself, and she has not spent a night without him in 2 years. So it's really a big deal. She's very depressed and not eating. So that is our day with that. That was the adventure. This evening, Lisa and I decided to watch Happy Gilmore because she does generally like Adam Sandler movies, and we have been talking about this one and have not been able to find it, and it popped up on Netflix, and I'm like, we are watching this, and it is a good one. It's better than Billy Madison for sure. It's the first of the ones, I mean, I think of it like Billy Madison. It's that early Adam Sandler, but it's like the first one where you really like the character for the most part. And it's a little bit better written. It's got better story. And so we decided to watch that. The girls didn't feel like going anywhere for dinner tonight, but they wanted something different. They've been wanting to try Pani Paz for a while. They've had it before, they liked it, but they can never remember which place it is. So we've been saying, well, maybe we'll walk down there. And they're just like, we just don't feel like walking anywhere. And I said, wait a minute. I have a Nicaragua phone number, and that means you can order delivery. And we're like, totally forgot about this. So this is really important. Here in Nicaragua, food delivery is actually more common than it is in the United States. In the US, or a lot of places, you have things like Uber Eats and DoorDash and Grubhub, right? You have these different services, and they're pretty expensive because you got to pay for this expensive delivery plus fees to the whatever. It just adds up, and you're like, oh man, I can never use that. By the way, DoorDash is staffed here in Nicaragua. They're out on the Messiah Road. It's where all their customer service comes from. We have the same thing here, except we have two different services. One is called Hugo, which is spelled like the name Hugo, or in English it'd be Hugo, but it's Hugo in Espanol. And we also have PedidosYa. And those two dominate the market. I would say it seems to me that in Managua, PedidosYa is the bigger one, and here Hugo is definitely more prevalent. But they're very similar to what you have in the US. You just open up the app, go in, and you've got menus and directories to all the different restaurants, plus groceries, plus a few other things. And you just go through, order what you want, say you want it delivered, and use your location services. And generally, you just pay with cash, so you don't even need to have a credit card or anything to set it up. But both services do not allow you to use them unless you have a local Central American phone number. I have not had one, but if you've been watching my episodes, you know that I just on Friday, I think that's right, got one. That doesn't seem right. Anyway, yeah, Friday, I just got a phone number from Tigo. So I have a local Nicaraguan phone number now, and I had completely forgotten that is why I have not been using these services. Sometimes Dominica would do it, but she hasn't had a phone number for a while. She actually lost her SIM card. So while we've tried it and we know it works and other people have used it, I've never been able to use it personally anywhere. So we were excited. So I explained this to the kids, and they're like, seriously? So delivery here is normally just over $1, like $1.10, $1.20. And then obviously you want to tip, but that's like it. Like, it's really cheap, and the restaurants don't normally charge a premium because they're just trying to get business. And so we're able to go on, and most of the restaurants in town, including some really little tiny hole-in-the-wall places, have Hugo accounts. So I set both of the services up, but we used Hugo, which I seem to like a little bit more. I don't know. And they're from El Salvador. We just went on to Pani Paz, ordered what we want, took Dominica's order, and had it delivered. 30 minutes, and like $1.10 later, we had all of our food. And really, the cost of a taxi, if I was to take the girls, because they didn't want to walk that far, so if we were to take a taxi to go to Pani Paz, we would spend at least $3 to get there, because it's 40 cord per person, which is about $1.05, $1.10. So that's $3.30-ish to get $3.25 for the three of us to go somewhere, which is obviously not a big deal. But that's more money than the delivery. Of course, a taxi takes a car, and the delivery is just a motorbike. So it uses much less. It's faster, and it uses less fuel, and it's just a driver really quickly grabbing the food and going. It does cost less to do that, so that makes sense. And it would be $3.25 to get there, and then potentially the same to get back. So this could be $6.50 by the time I'm doing a round trip for 3 people. And that was only if Dominica didn't go. It just adds up. So if we're getting delivery at home, you don't pay per person. But you do tip. But if we went to the restaurant, we would tip, and probably tip more because you're not paying for the service. But when you're paying for delivery, you don't necessarily pay tip as heavily. So overall, I think it's a pretty significant cost savings. Unless you're just going to walk to a restaurant and pay counter service to go or whatever, so that you're not tipping or something. So in general, this is actually you know, in the United States, you generally look at these things as a premium service, right? Like, oh, it's a special night. I'm willing to spend some extra money. I just really don't feel like going out. Everybody wants, you know, everybody wants Arby's, but we just don't want to get in the car, so we're gonna order Arby's. I don't know why I picked Arby's, because Alan wants Arby's, that's why. And they'll deliver it, but you're gonna pay so much more than if you went to the restaurant. Now, if you're doing a fancy restaurant, maybe the overhead's not that much, and you're like, 10% extra. But when you're ordering from a normal everyday restaurant, it's like, whoa, that's a big percentage of the cost of the food in this extra delivery fee. But here, it's so small that it really makes it something you can do, and can do all the time. And it's important, I think, because for a lot of reasons. One, okay, wait, I gotta show this water. Again, remember, it's not been raining. This is a lot of water coming down this street right now. I don't know if you can see in the video how deep this is. That has to be pushing 3 inches deep and flowing fast. Wow, I'm guessing that got recorded. That was the camera freaking out. It just flipped all over the place. That is a lot of water. If you had like a little paper sailboat you could put in there, like a little styrofoam thing, that'd be fun to watch and see how far it goes. Like, that'd be pretty cool. So here, because it's so affordable, it can actually be part of a lifestyle. Like, if you like to eat at restaurants and you don't want to travel places, there's a lot of people who move here and they're looking for something. It did it again. The camera's definitely having a rough day. It crashed earlier. Every time I look away, I see it like jump around. Hopefully this turns out and looks okay when it's done. You know, if you want to be here and you aren't someone who wants to go out and go to restaurants all the time, but you want to have a variety of food and whatever, it's actually quite doable to live. And like Alan and Anna live fairly far outside the city. Okay, that is moss covered concrete and very slippery. I should not just do that casually. You know, you really can stay home and feel good about ordering in on these services and get a lot of food, because there's just so many restaurants on the service. And this is true in anywhere in Nicaragua. It's not a Leon thing. You can do this in all the cities as far as I've seen. Now, the small towns, I don't know how much there is. And some of the restaurants, like Oasis del Sabor, which we do get delivery from previously, they don't use Ugo. They have their own delivery. But Tip Top used to, and they switched to using Hugo and PedidosYa. So I'm not sure if some of them still have it, or if they've all gone to these standardized ones, or how they're doing it. But there's a lot of delivery options, and becoming more and more part of the culture, because it just is so easy to do. And many fewer people here own vehicles, right? The idea that everybody owns a vehicle, that's not a thing. Some people do, certainly, but there are lots and lots of people who don't, and so they're taking taxis to go places because that's such a prevalent thing. It has also created this market on a scale for food delivery that you don't have other places, because it's almost the norm rather than the exception, and it's excellent. And these tools, like the Hugo app now on my phone, is full of menus that often don't even exist at the restaurants, and definitely don't exist online. So there's a lot of restaurants you can discover by using the apps. Of course, that's true in the United States too, but in the United States you have other things, websites and different guides that can tell you about the restaurants that are available in your area. But here, it's actually really tough to discover them. I spend a lot of time just walking around the city. I'm gonna turn this around because of the water. I spend a lot of time walking around the city discovering places to go in order to know where we could potentially eat or not. And that's how we know about so many places. But with these apps, you can discover many more. And there are certainly places that only use the apps now. That is becoming a thing where if you want to have a restaurant, and I've noticed this with like the Cupcakery, that they have a restaurant, but they don't have anything except delivery. There is no place. So you order online and it comes to your house, and that's it. And you can pretty easily run an entire business that way. And if you have some decent food, you're in great shape. And you don't have to have a complete menu. You don't have to be able to service everybody. You only have to be able to service somebody. And of course, you can get delivery from multiple places, which is something you can't do when you go out to eat. So it really presents an opportunity for a much larger variety of food options. A small kitchen that only does food items at the time of order, only on demand, only certain nights of the week, only delivery. Like, you can have a one-person restaurant that's just a, wow, this is loud. We're gonna let them, he's really struggling. You can have these micro businesses with just one person who stays at home, watches the kids, cooks some unique meal or really delicious thing, or does it at a unique time or whatever, and then all they have to do is add themselves to one of these services, and suddenly they have a way to operate that business at such a low overhead. It's really amazing, and I hope more places take advantage of that, because I think it's a really interesting, neat part of the culture. This is that restaurant, and now I can't remember the name of it, but it had cake in the name, and it's still open, but all their signs are down. Lisa and I came and looked at it the other day, and we're like, what is going on that all of their identity is gone, but the place is clearly open? Like, I have no idea. One of the many places that you just can't figure out what's going on in this country. Way too often of a thing. All right, we're gonna come back. You can see me. So that was our evening, and the girls were very excited about this. Like, the whole being able to get delivery at home thing is something we didn't have that much of when we lived in the US. Like, we never did that on a regular basis. We would send one of us out to go get food, but we never had food just delivered under normal circumstances. And now that we have it here, and like, they don't like to go out. They don't like to walk places too much. They don't really like hanging out in the restaurants. Like, they have other things to do, and I get it. You know, it's nice to be able to, you know, watch your show or use the bathroom whenever you want, have the comfort of home, but you want the food from restaurants, of course. And so for them, this is this amazing discovery that now they can look at the menus, they can pick what they want, they can have it delivered, they don't have to go out, and we can go to so many more restaurants than we could before. It's a win. But this is a big thing here in Nicaragua, and something that you guys need to understand. If you're moving here, one, what services do you use? You can go get it now, PedidosYa and Ugo on your iPhone or Android. Just go download it and you can check out what's available in different places, but you can't sign up because you don't have the number. And when you get here, if you get one of those SIM cards, you can start using the service. Really easy. Pay cash. It uses your GPS to tell them exactly where you are. Makes life really easy. You don't have to know your address. You don't have to have any special stuff. And when you're traveling, that's where Dominica and I have used it before with hers. Ooh, doggy. My gosh, little puppy in the road. My gosh. Scared the crap out of me. And sorry about that. Sometimes I worry that my presence on the road will make a dog wander into the road to see me, and then they'll get run over, so that scares me extra. But we used it when we were in a hotel in the city. We didn't know what we wanted to do. We didn't want to go out, and we just wanted to eat in the hotel. We were able to use one of these services and just have food brought to us. It really is. It's so nice to be able to have. And of course, everyone's used to it in the United States, but you don't think about it necessarily being available here, let alone being cheap and really ubiquitous. So that's a big component of life here. Wanted to share that with you. And if you have questions about it, how do you use it? Where do you find it? Whatever, ask below. So remember to like and subscribe, ask your questions. If you'd like to support the channel, look below. There's a link to buy me a coffee. You literally just click a thing and literally buy me a coffee. And thank you so much for joining me. I will see all of you tomorrow.